Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Mansouri, and I'm from Radiant Images. And I want to say, first of all, thank you for inviting us to your beautiful country. And most importantly, I want to thank every one of you guys for investing your time to exploring the next what if, the unknowns. Standing before you guys, I keep thinking about, what it was like for the first early man when they were sitting in a cave and they were painting their worlds around them, mocking and holding on history. And as the early caveman put his hand on that cave, what his dream and his desire was. It was to preserve his life, his history. And I think just like every great artist and every great free thinker, we all want to do the same thing. We want to tell our stories, but not just tell stories, but have it impact people in a very deep and profound way. And I think artists are the only people that can do that. I think artists have an amazing capacity of transcribing all religion, all languages, all socioeconomic barriers. They're able to bring people together. And we're in an amazing part with this new technology that allows us to become virtual in reality. It's an exciting place because there's times that we can actually explore beyond just being there, but we can interact in these worlds. And that's what I'm really excited about. So a little bit about us. I'm co-founder of a company called Radiant Images, and we provide technology to content creators and free thinkers around the world that want to do just more than entertain people. They want to use social engagements to connect with their audience in a much deeper way. And we provide technology, and we provide new methods of thinking about creating immersive methods for them to connect with their audience. So I'm going to present some of our video that describes that.
Some of theater, but at the same time, at the beginning, we really are writing the rules from the beginning here. Yeah, we're taking some of traditional, video and film, and we're taking some of theater, but at the same time, we're creating a whole new language. Are there new camera systems that we can use that will help tell the story better? Is there a way to frame the story that we're telling with new technologies that will help drive it? For me, it's been really amazing working with Radiant. They bring a lot of experience to the table, a lot of understanding of what we're trying to do, and then also a bunch of research from all the new technology that they're bringing in-house. Radiant has become a hub. You've got everybody coming in here, renting gear, working on projects, and it ends up being this really collaborative place of like, oh yeah, this job was just in here and it did this, and here's a way that we might be able to do something that fits your job based on that information that takes it to a whole other level.
You have to rethink the language of filmmaking, reinvent the way that you walk the actors to the action. You have to bring the story to the camera more than you bring the camera to the story in VR. Once enough kids have grown up watching it and evolving it, it will turn into something that it ought to be. Virtual stories that are longer and more dramatic and more immersive.
Because everyone's still learning, even I'm still learning. We're still trying to understand what this medium is, how we can use it, how interactive we can get, what the kind of tastes are of users and how people are willing to engage with it.
we're only scratching the surface right now. Where it's going, VR, AR, mixed reality, the level of interaction and the level of experience that we can provide, the possibilities are endless. Radiant Images has been a great partner in that by coming to them with an opportunity or with a problem and saying, we want to tell this kind of story, we want to create this kind of adventure for a fan. How do we do it? What technology is there? And they help us put that together.
Give me 1 second. Okay. So this is normally where I would start by looking at cameras first. But I think we're going to flip the script because it's not about camera technology. The reality is we're in an amazing part of the world now, and also time. New operating systems are being developed. The new operating system is a lot of the headset manufacturers that, like Samsung, Google, companies like HTC, and Microsoft, they're developing new operating systems that allows us to see things not just in a flat screen, but in a volume of information. So what I want to share with you is the technology cycles that we've seen. So if we look at it, from the 20s we had radio, 30s we had television, and 40s we had Polaroid. Then we transitioned into the 50s in color TV. Then we went to full mainframe computers in the 60s. 70s we had computing systems, and in the 80s, the revolution of personal computing. And it became a lot more portable in the 90s when we had laptops. And year 2000 with all smart devices, smartphones. And 2010, we have wearable technology. So if we want to predict what the next technology cycle will be, it's exactly what tech manufacturers like Google, Facebook, and Apple, and Samsung, they're developing. It is a new operating system. So for us, instead of looking at the camera technology, I think we have to look at what's the display technology, what's out there, how are we able to connect with our audiences in a much deeper capacity. We've inherited a 16:9 for hundreds of years, right? Now we can actually bring our audiences inside of our worlds. It's actually true essence of that early caveman when he put his hand on that wall. He wanted to bring his audiences inside his environment. And we can get there. So let me fast forward very quickly into displays. So these are all the leading tech manufacturers in the world. Every single one of them is looking at the new operating systems. Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Canon, Red Digital Cinema just announced a new mobile device that's portable, that's holographic. And the state of VR is also a lot of the reason why you should be interested is because a lot of investments are happening in how do we engage audiences that's highly mobile, highly portable. Everything is getting streamed. People are not watching things on televisions as much or watching it in movie theaters. How do they engage? Companies like Amazon, they created a division called Amazon VR. Then we have augmented reality, which is every single mobile device has a built-in, every single phone that you guys have a built-in AR kit built into it. Companies like Apple currently also are developing AR kits as well as new methods in interacting VR inside of their app. There's also a rumor that they're going to come out with a headset that's an augmented reality based headset. And if we look back, we had companies like early days of Disney when he looked at Circle Vision, how he was able to bring his audiences these immersive worlds and bring the worlds to them. And for this was back in the 50s when they started working in circle vision. Then we also have dome experiences where we can have hundreds of people will have a shared experience instead of a solitude experience where you have with a headset where it's one-on-one. Now we could be in a movie theater and we can see the entire immersive experience. At Radiant, we're working with a lot of companies that are looking at projecting in hundreds of thousands of square feet areas where you're completely surrounded with these displays. Then the next thing we want to talk about is sixth off. So currently, we're looking at everything in a three-dimensional way, look left and right, but our natural instincts, how we all communicate, is we want to have freedom of agency. We want to be able to walk inside movies. We want to look around things. So we feel the future of filmmaking and cinema is going to allow our audiences to be part of the experience, not just passively looking at it and just having a sense of the space, but an exploratory, a new narrative that lets your audiences be inside these movies. We also have companies like Facebook, obviously. They do 360 embedded in their videos. Google Daydream. All the head-mounted displays like the HTC, HoloLens, VR PlayStation, the new Rift, as well as the Samsung Odysseys. We have companies like Hulu that are creating a VR division that's specifically creating content in VR. We also have companies like IMAX that are creating bigger-than-life experiences, huge, and immersive with headsets as well. Platforms like Jaunt, platforms like Little Star, which is a dedicated platform that works in all iOS, Android, as well as Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and allows people at home to have immediate access to virtual reality. And then we also have location-based entertainment companies like Void, Dreamscape, VR Arcade, IMAX. There's probably hundreds of them here in Korea as well. But we feel that that is the next future where you have audiences being able to go to like the new versions of theaters that give them the opportunity to also walk in these spaces. So let's talk about the new operating systems like Magic Leap and Meta. So this is a blend of looking at the reality, and on top of that, you also have holographic displays. So things that are like light field or volumetric now have a new way of being able to viewed. In our normal lives, we can also watch a football game on our coffee table together. We can have shared experiences where we've never had before. And companies like Magic Leap, they're creating these methods, as well as other operating systems inside there. So a lot of the things that we use right now with voice command asking questions, we no longer need typewriters, we don't need a laptop or all these devices. Everything can get streamed to headsets that are giving us the real world and also giving us a base layer of augmenting us and hopefully making us smarter, more decisive, and more informed human beings. Then we have mixed reality VR. Companies like Netflix are doing a full division in VR as well. As we know, Oculus is heavily invested in VR. Room scale, a lot of the headset manufacturers are working in room scale because they understand the importance of allowing your audiences to work in this. Companies like Red, they have hydrogen mobile phone, which is a new way of having the display give you that holographic experience. Of course, Samsung WebVR is a distribution platform. Twitter and Periscope, there's your other distribution platform. With Radiant, we've done some of the biggest projects where we've reached tens of millions of people around the world in VR. It's been through Facebook, Twitter, as well as YouTube. So if you want to get the mass viewerships, that's how we've done it in the past. We were lucky enough to be in part of the CNN solar eclipse, and that reached about 10.5 million views. We were also part of the White House with Obama farewell speech, and it had several million views as well. So in VR, we're actually getting huge viewerships by utilizing normal social media methods, but embedding it with 360. And then Vimeo 360. And then we're going to hear about volumetric. So these are the worlds that we're very excited about. We feel that this is the next level for interactivity with your audiences. Here, we're no longer bounded by being at a space. We can walk around objects and we can interact with the actors. Very similar to Princess Leia at Star Wars. And then one thing that we're very excited about is WebVR. So WebVR allows us to have really amazing experiences, very similar to how you interact when you go home. And for VR or any technology to really have an impact, it needs to tap into our core DNA. It has to be super easy. It cannot be a process. So I'm going to give you a quick demonstration. So I'm going to grab my phone. And this is a project actually we did with Samsung. And we did this for NAB. I'm just going to hold this. And I'm using my cellular right now. See if I can frame this up. But we're going to see a live 360 stream. And notice I'm on Samsung's website. So we didn't have to do anything other than hold a phone to an object. Now that could be a running video. The system doesn't have to be a QR code anymore. It could be sounds. It could be a cat. It could be a sponsorship. It could be Coca-Cola can. And that will start the 360 video. And I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to put in any WebVR. I didn't have to put in anything. So a lot of the things that allows us to have these immediate connections with our audience, if you don't make them simple and fluid, it will not resonate. Every technology that we've seen that has been bulky and constraining has never been able to break that barrier, is because it's been too tasking, asking too many different steps from your audiences. And that's something that we care about in Radiant. We always look at how does it tap into our core DNA? How does it really fit the user's experience? It's not about us, it's about the user. We have to make it as great as possible. We might be big advocates for how great this technology is, but it won't go anywhere unless you make it as simple and relatable for your audiences. So now we can easily go back to A to Z of cameras. So I'll make this brief because I know we're short on time. And so I want to start off by our system. It's called Aqsa. So Aqsa is based on a series of hexagons and octagons. And if you guys are really good at geometry, you know that the strongest form in nature, the best design, has been created through hexagons and octagons. It comes from our atom all the way through the universe. It is the strongest form, and it creates a perfect sphere. So what we did is we used the hexagon and octagons to suspend cameras so that they're all perfectly equidistant, and we're not locked into technology. We work with our content creators in that method, that we do not think that you have to be locked into technology. The human's imagination should be far advanced, more than the technology. So as the camera technology changes, you're not locked in. We can put airy minis in there, or I can put Red, or I can put Sony UMCs, or I can put any camera that comes out, but they all fit in to a perfect shape that nature designed, and it's the hexagons. And if we go here, you'll see the different shapes. So we also have it here with Reds and Sonys and Blackmagic cameras. So we're completely camera agnostic, technology agnostic. And that's part of what Radiant's always been about. making sure that we're agnostic to technology so that we can work with our content creators in a deeper, more impactful way. This is an interesting design. It's called the Aqsa 6DOF, because if you look at the design, you notice that there's a series of triangles. The triangulation allows your audience not just to be in a 360 environment, but also be able to look around things, move in and around, because you've triangulated. And again, it's camera agnostic, so we can do this with other cameras as well. This is our POV version. We highly believe in binarium ambisonic sound. We feel what you hear and what you feel is a bigger sensory than even what you see. To feel the sense of immersion, you can close your eyes and you can feel like you're there. So we incorporate that for a lot of our content creators. This is an underwater solution. It's called Boxfish, and we can put much better cameras than GoPros and high-resolution cameras inside this. This is our dark corner. This was one of our first rigs that we built. We built this rig about 3.5 years ago for content creators that wanted to shoot at any lighting condition, and they wanted to increase their user's experience and really give a high image quality, similar to how we see the world, you know, and it has a very high dynamic range. This is one of my favorite solutions. It's a lens manufacturer in Japan called Intanaya. This lens sees 250 degrees, and I call this mom. You know how your mom sees behind her head? This lens sees behind itself too. So it's really, really great, because if you want to get, one of the biggest barriers that we've faced in creating content for our content creators is 360 might be immersive, but it misses the tone. And the tone is the experience you and I get when we're close to each other. And in 360, most 360, every one of us seem too far away. And everyone's so worried about the stitch lines and the seam. This allows us to have that human connection, the real human connection that we've missed. And that's what I call the tone of storytelling, where you can have your subjects very, very close to the camera. This is Facebook's design. It's very similar to ours with triangulation, but they also believe that 6DOF and volume is essential for telling stories in the future. This is their algorithm using depth mapping, so we're able to get depth mapping, and I'll explain a little bit more about that. So if we can triangulate, or if we can have multiple cameras see, let's say if I can take 9 cameras and I could see a subject matter from one point, we could actually put volume in that pixel as well as RGB. We could virtually move cameras now. The camera no longer needs to be stationary. The camera can move anywhere in space. And with that information, you can also use it for traditional 2D as well, where we can get rid of a green screen. If I don't want this water bottle here, I could simply just remove it. So that's the power of working in this new medium. So there's a company called Fraunhofer, and they designed a system called OmniCam. Again, remember the first slide I showed you with Circle Vision with Disney? That was designed about 70 years ago. And it's a similar technology, except they did it much harder. They did it with film cameras. This is with digital cameras. This is absolutely perfect for projects where you don't have to, you just need 360 cylindrical. You don't need to worry about up or down, but you can get subjects as close as possible to camera, and you can get high resolution. Here we're capturing about 20K resolution. So it's extremely high and close. And then this is the days where it caused a lot of gray hairs for me, using the GoPro rigs and synchronize it together. GoPro now is doing some more interesting things like the OmniCam, which is a 360 camera that's a little bit more automated, more purpose-built. Then we have the Google Jump eCam. The breakthrough here is the ground and the cloud-based stitching. So you no longer have to take the footage and manually stitch it one by one, and you don't need to go buy a computer system at home. You can just take your content, upload it to the cloud, and it'll do the stitch for you. Let's skip this. Then we have companies like Insta360. Insta360 has a really powerful way of making the 360 accessible to all consumers, from mobile phones, from a $100 camera, up to a more high-end camera like the one above us right here, the Insta360 Pro 2. But they made it very easy for consumers to produce content and also content creators to produce content. This is a camera called Naked Eye. Again, two 250-degree lenses. Allows us to capture subjects very close. We put this inside of a Learjet, inside of a jet fighter, and we were able to get 360 without seams, or I can do POV. Some of the shots that you saw with our POV for The Walking Dead was shot with a red and a 250 lens. We only use one camera on that one, by the way. This is the Jaunt 1 camera. Jaunt was and is definitely the new revolution for cloud-based stitching. So with their platform, we would shoot content, and it's high-res, beautiful images, and we would upload it to the cloud, and all the stitching would happen by utilizing a cloud-based stitch. We'll skip this. So let's talk about light field. So light field is very similar to volumetric, but a little bit different tech. So here, we're capturing the reflections of light that bounces off of everyone that's sitting in this room. And if I can get multiple camera vantage points, I can create volume. And in that volume, our audiences could walk in that space, or we could virtually move the cameras, because the cameras are no longer locked off. It's very similar to what's happening here, and I'll give you an example. This is our partnership with Sony. So we built a light field system at Sony. And the video that you're looking at, she's 20 feet away, and the wall of cameras are stationary, but we're virtually moving the cameras in space. And if you notice, we're seeing all the smoke particles still, so we don't lose resolution. So the benefit of going to light field, you definitely get better resolution, you get higher image quality. So we really like light field. And then we have Nokia Ozo, which is amazing as well. And let me give you some other ones. So this is a great camera manufacturer as well. This is called the Obsidian. Obsidian makes two models. One's called the S, which shoots at 8K at 120 frames, and the R, which shoots at 8K high res. The great thing is that it's all computationally stitched. So it's very easy for content creators to go out there, shoot. They don't have to learn about stitching. They can go out there, experiment, shoot beautiful content, and it does the stitching computationally. This is a product line Panasonic's going to announce soon, but it's designed mostly for live events and live stitching. Their platform allows us to do what's called an optical flow stitch on live. So at each pixel level, we can actually move the stitch. And then here we have a product line from Samsung. This is the Samsung Round, which is a very impressive camera. It allows us to do live. We use it for some of our more critical projects where we're shooting in extreme weather like rain, harsh environments. The camera's made out of IPS65, which is military spec. It's waterproof to water resistance, and produces really beautiful stereoscopic image quality. This is our Sense 9. This is another camera system that we built. So this is the most adaptive and accurate 360 rig. If you guys pick a camera, I don't care if it's even a film camera, we can do a 360 with this. We use this for our much larger projects that need a lot of resolution. So our biggest project was the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. We shot 40K resolution, 40K, not 40K resolution. and we projected it back in the world's largest 360 dome experience, actually cylindrical experience. And then here's some more underwater solutions, and then volumetric. And then I finish it off with Zcam. Zcam has got several product lines. The V1 Pro, which allows us to capture, it's got a much larger sensor that gives us a really beautiful image sensor, and the really good stereo. And then the S1 Pro, which is a single sensor, micro four thirds sensor, and very beautiful images out of it. And thank you.